Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is someone who makes me wish I had an iron gut. It's Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
That's a new one. At any rate, also joining us this week, the one and only Kenny Lowell from Combat Phase. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hello, everybody. I do have an iron gut. Nope, I just sat on it.
There you go. Kenny has been working through his ogres recently. You've been doing some ogre playing, and Tom, I think you have yourself locked on you. By the way, I don't know why.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
That's fine. I'll fix it. Like you need to see if you have a little white box around yourself on your screen.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, somebody's locked on Tom because when Kenny talks, it doesn't flip to him. That's fine. I'll handle it. At any rate,
It's my unflattering angle.
that's what it
I,
is.
I can just click on me, and
Yeah.
now I have white box.
Sure. Yeah, for whatever reason, somebody has you selected.
Cool. So that just means that it's the Tom show.
Apparently, that is
Okay.
the case. Don't worry, I'll flip over to Kenny when he's talking as often as I can. Somebody said Kenny is quiet, so you might need to lean in some, Kenny. I can hear you fine.
Am I quiet? Chat people, is that better?
No, I hear you. You're fine.
Yeah, I can. Let's see. If you can hear Tom fine, they're both coming from the same sound source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if I need to speak up, just let me know. It's fine. I'm
Okay.
trying a new phone. I'm trying a different setup.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, cool.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
they
not
said it does
swapping
jump
to
to Kenny.
Kenny.
He's just very quiet. Okay, great.
No, I mean the image is not jumping to Kenny. Like
I'll
I'm
stream.
I'm watching the stream right now.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on. It's broke. Oh, there we go. Oh, Kenny's back. Okay, it's working now.
Okay, great. I mean, whatever. We'll figure it out.
Whatever.
It's fine. Look, I'll play with it. Let's get to the news. How about that? Go ahead. First off, Tom, take us through some news.
Rumor engine?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the rumor engine up.
I don't, because it's dumb and no one cares.
Oh. Okay,
Yep.
no rumor engine.
Sorry. It's
Fine.
a 40K thing. Who cares?
Then let's talk about Gamma.
That's right, buddy. That's what we're here to talk about. Here, I'm going to do this. Kenny, real quick, talk again for me.
All right, I'm enjoying a nice glass of Captain Morgan's finest.
Okay.
Mm.
So someone tell me in the comments in a few moments if Kenny was louder now. At any rate, let's talk about Gamma. So, go, Tom. Go Gamma.
So Daughters of Khaine.
That's right.
They're
That's
here.
what's up on screen because that's what freaking matters. Look at these gorgeous ladies of murder right here. They're gloms. They're the gorgeous ladies of murder. This is how you do it, folks. That Hag Queen harkens back to the original, like, sorceress from years ago.
Yep.
The witches are incredible. Why don't all the rest of the witches look like this? Like, oh my god, it's amazing. Sister
Like-
has such movement. The snake even looks great because she's in such a wonderful, like, sliding into it pose.
Yep. It's good. Like, I'm glad that you can buy the Hag Queen without buying the Cauldron.
Yeah, now there's finally an opportunity. All right, I turned Kenny and Tom up again, so we'll see if that helps a little more. People said it was better, so that's good.
So you're saying that I've been turned up.
You have
Cool.
been turned up. Yes, Tom, that's correct. Kenny, what do you think of the daughters? This will be a good chance to do more sound test with you.
I think they look awesome. When I first opened the picture up, it looked kind of like Britney Spears a little bit with the makeup, just like the first image I saw because it was on a very large screen. But I think they're great models too. And I was asking, actually, my co-host was like, "What do you know? Your son is 8 and plays Warhammer Underworlds with you. Like, are these appropriate for little kids? I mean, they're just models. Like, what's the It's just kind of interesting. Like, I never really thought of it that way. But I think the models are great, and I love being able to get them without having to buy that kit. Even though there's a new Start Collecting box now too.
I mean, their clothes cover more than most bathing suits at public pools.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. They one, true. Two, these figures, I mean, these are actually, the witch elves here are much more clothed than the normal witch elves.
It's true. Like the normal
Right, yeah.
people are in bras and bikini thongs.
Yeah.
Like they have loincloths here. Come on now.
Well, the one's girl is wearing like a full corset there that you can see. So
It's classy.
it is
It's
classy, yes.
classy.
No, these girls look amazing. Like, I want to buy this warband so much. I thought I was done with daughters. I thought I was never going to paint another daughter. I really did. I thought I was completely done. But
You're
this,
wrong.
I was wrong. And this has painting a unit written all over it. So I'm sure I'll pick them up at some point. It's not going to be an immediate thing, but I will definitely have to pick them up at some point. Because they are pretty gorgeous. So
Nice sculpts, yeah.
yeah, I'll wait until they give just the models. They do that still, right? Like where you can buy just the models.
Yeah, it takes like about a month, like maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and you can get them for 25 instead of 30 without the cards.
Yes, saving that big $5.
Dude,
That's
I'll
how-
bet
save
you
it
could
$5.
sell those cards like for more than the $5 gap.
Well, I'm not playing Underworld, so there you go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. What else, Gamma? So we had these girls, which are awesome.
I don't know. They released something else, right?
They did, Tom. For your favorite army, the army that you can't wait to buy all of, that you have nothing but unmitigated joy and excitement for. We got to see another unit from the Lumineth Realm Lords, or pointy elves, or disappointing elves, depending on your current temperature on them.
I mean, I'll say this: they are adding a new meaning to pointy elves.
So we saw the archers. I love
Yep.
when we saw the original, rumor engine of that 3-stringed bow.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, maybe it's just a big, I said, it'll probably be just a big, strong person. And people are like, bows don't work that way. You can't just add more strings. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Fantasy, whatever.
Right.
And
Here we are.
And here we are. It's not even a big, strong person. It's just regular elves. And they're just using triple stringed bows.
I mean, yeah. Like, I like the elves look like they should be coming from Whoville with those helmets. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Little Cindy Lou who was no more than 2 and had a triple stringed bow she used to shoot you.
I mean, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just, how do I want to be constructive.
Good instinct. I'm gonna go ahead and broadcast what Chaos Spawn said. The Lumineth capital is called Bland City, famous for its mayonnaise sandwiches, and every ice cream shop sells only vanilla. I would also add that they're well known for their regular cheese pizza.
Like,
Uh-huh.
if I go down this road of elves, there's going to be some serious head swaps happening.
Sure. Look, to be honest, in almost every sculpt, it's the heads I think are dumb.
Yeah, the heads, like, almost uniformly are the problem.
Mm-hmm. But the rest of the model's good. Like, when I look at the rest of the archers, I was like, oh, okay, those guys
Well,
look cool.
except for Teclis, but,
We'll get to him in a second. Let's leave him to the side.
Sure.
Yes, I agree. The archers, the spear dudes, like, most of the stuff I actually hate is just the heads. It's an army that just, like, I feel now like people felt when they were talking about OBR and they didn't like the smiling skulls, which I had no problem with. That's the part I like the most about OBR.
Yeah.
But
here we are.
I
mean, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Kenny, what's your take so far on the Lumineth? How you feeling on them?
So I committed to play them a long time ago, a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more like the Warhammer Quest type look, and they've been a little bit bland, but I think the mountain guys kind of got me intrigued, I gotta say. I don't know. I mean, if I don't rush out to play another army, that's great. I don't know if it's going to happen, but, they're just, I don't know. Like, I've had an idea of just something very different, and they seem, so far the units I've seen haven't really fit whatever. The expectation was just, I don't know what it was, but just something different. And they're a little bit different than I thought they might be. So I'm waiting for like the reveal of the characters. Now I do like Eltharion. I think that's really cool. And
he's a standout.
LED light or something inside of him, make him glow. And but I'm trying to tell myself that I'm starting to like him, but it's still kind of questionable about going down the path, or when I will go down the path. I guess is it before Mill's Meltdown or after?
Gotcha.
Is it summer or fall army? Basically, is where I'm looking.
Sure. People are asking you to still speak up just a little, Kenny. So you got to put a little more oomph into it from the diaphragm.
Right.
There you go.
Elves. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Stay at that level of intensity.
I
That's what I
can.
need.
Absolutely.
All right.
I got this.
I mean,
This is the Ogre show. It's time to speak from the diaphragm, right? That's right.
like if people like these elves, awesome. Like
Yeah,
if
of
you
course.
like them
We would
as they are,
never, ever on the show. I want to put this down because I'm going to make fun of some elves now and in the future. Never, ever are you wrong for liking a thing. Period. That is the end of that. Full stop. Okay? What you like. And like when it comes to AOS models, I mean, if you like murder or something, that's not good. Don't like that. But when it comes to these models, there's no wrong here. If an aesthetic grabs you, super sweet. We're always just talking our personal opinion. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
And so, how about you make fun of some elves?
Yeah, so I'm ready. Okay, let's drag some elves. All right, great. Those helmets are terrible. I didn't like them at all. Floaty mage guy with his giant yak horn helm. The ongoing thing that's happening in this army of yaks and mountains leads me to hope, beyond hope. Like, I know we've seen the traditional elvish cavalry, and those are there. But God, if we get yak riders, if we get elvish yak riders, mountain-based yak riders, I will be so happy. Like, I will flip over the moon. Because that would be incredible.
Like eagle handlers too.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. But it's always like mountains and a lot of yak imagery. Mountains and yaks and mountains. There are things about this I enjoy. In the article, they talked about how everybody's stuff is flowing in the same direction. Right? Yep. Like all their tassels and dangles and everything, and they put stuff on everybody to catch the wind. Yep. Which that puts me in mind of a song. That was a song, right? Something about catching the wind. But I don't like all the dangly bits hanging off all of them. The girl they previewed who's clearly like a girl with a veil over her face. An elvish girl with a veil over her face. Looks cool, but we're way too zoomed in. I have a feeling that's going to be a small part of a larger diorama, to agree with what Martin Orlando said. He was the first one who mentioned that, and I tend to agree with him.
Yep. Probably the Tyrion diorama. I know that you don't want Tyrion in here, but I mean, it seems to be pointing that direction.
Yep. I mean, very well could be. So in general, I don't like the mage. I don't like his super giant head and his super giant horns.
Right.
That was also what we got revealed. The mage, the new mage, who's some kind of like mountain earth mage, right?
So do you think that we have like an entire race of benders, and so you have all four elements?
I don't know, man. Because you got the earth and the reason why the air thing going on, sure.
Well, not only that, but I also recognize that if you look on the sword hilt of the archer, there's an icon of a flame.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for an elementalish thing with this. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But I don't care when it's just like a minor thing like that.
No, but we may not have the elementals revealed yet. Because if you'll remember, let me point out that when they talked about these elves, they said that Teclis went and enlisted the dwellers of Highish, the spirits of Highish. And so I'm wondering if those spirits are elemental spirits. And so we get like, so what if the other half of this army are all elementals? Like full on like rocks and fire and water and wind.
Cool. That'd be neat.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
They may have my attention if it takes a hard right. Into design like that. But
I would see that as highly unlikely, but okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. As they're going, I'm just like, the good thing is I have hundreds of elf heads. And so doing elf head swaps, like, man, those Sisters of the Watch, like the 40 or 50 Sisters of the Watch heads that I have, are going to do double duty on those archers. Yeah.
I don't know. The mountain man's getting me. I'm getting brought in by the mountain, I think.
You like so you're saying you're a fan of the contemplative mage with the giant yak horns.
I am, yeah. I want to see what that looks like. I know I might be in the minority, but I definitely want to see. I mean, I think I'm hoping it's not a model that's going to bend too much, like it's like you're going to worry you're going to break it. But I'm intrigued, and I do like that whole. I guess it's the dwarf player in me. I like the whole like earth magic thing. So if it goes towards elementals, that'd be amazing. Because I mean, we have they're doing the whole like a lot of female and male kits mixed together with these.
Sure.
But I really want to see where it goes as far as the elemental thing. And since you said that now, it's like stuck to me. So I need the payoff.
Sorry, GW. I've set expectations.
Sorry. I'm a simple man.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is that I think that it could be neat, even if somebody didn't, like, even if they don't have those in the army, I'm sure that you could do a series of, like, from a paint scheme standpoint, and you could lean into, like, the elemental bending.
I'm good with that as long as they make it a real part of the army. If it's just some minor sub-theme that normal elves kind of have elemental stuff going on, if they're elvementals, okay? I'm not,
Will they
like...
be spelled with an A-E?
Yes, elvementals, correct. And there's an extra E at the end of that.
What if they had, like, all... Like, what if there were 4 different lures? So, like, one for each of the elements.
Cool.
Magic lures.
Sure. It's a good place to start.
That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Don't stop there.
4 sub-factions.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's very Tau.
Oh, is it? I'm not familiar with Tau.
So Tau warriors, like in the lore, Kenny can explain this much better than me, but
yeah, but I was happy, and then you brought in Tau.
Mm-hmm. Because like the Tau warriors, the people you see on the battlefield are from like the fire caste generally, and like they're the warriors of the society, and then there's like what the water caste is they're diplomats and traders, is that right? And like each caste has a different role within the society that they play.
Interesting.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. I only minorly know Tau lore, but that's what I remember from 2005.
Well, I hope that, I mean, maybe they do go that direction. I don't know. Because I've heard other people make Tau comments before about them. So, I don't know.
Yep. So,
well, I mean, they shoot,
Yeah, and they shoot. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay. So, we also... as part of an article that got posted the day before, we also got some more images of Teclis. So I'm going to bring him up on screen. I'm going to cover up Kenny and Tom for a moment.
Oh, good.
Oh, is this the scented image?
This is yes, a zoomed in. Well, this is a particular image. And wow, I thought I hated this. And then I saw this picture and I was like, wow, I hate this so much more than I imagined.
So you're saying it is literally a model, like right out of Slanesh's wheelhouse.
This is a nightmare. Like, what happened to Teclis's face? Did the end times explode directly onto his face?
He kind of deserves it, though.
Sure, I don't disagree. Jeez. Yeah. So, I mean, I've gone through everything I don't like about this guy before. I've got more to add to the list now that I saw this more clean.
Hey, do you have the silhouette? Image. Do you have the silhouette photo from behind?
I don't. I do not. No.
Aww.
So you don't like the model? I get the odd urge to go to Vegas when I see this for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's the weird creature that he's riding.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Put you in mind of like sort of like excess, the type of magical creatures and things like that are around at the big casinos that they always use.
Yeah, something like that.
Statuary and stuff.
And I mean, Teclis. So I mean, this proves that even a god can get constipated in Age of Sigmar. So I mean, that's good. There's a little something here. We're learning a lot about the realms.
Yeah.
So at any rate, this is I hate this.
Sugar glider Teclis.
Yes.
Sugar glider.
I mean,
you're not wrong.
Like, yeah.
An AOS coach just asked a question that is this episode about ogres or bashing elves? A proper ogre episode is about bashing elves. I'm not sure what type of ogres you normally play, but they're not elf friends. All right, Teclis can go away now. There you go.
Yeah. Like I
There
like
you go, MGM Martin's
why
right.
why
you
do
go,
you
yeah.
just have to like flash it in my face?
Because it's fun to me.
Like can we drop it?
Sure. There you go.
Like this is not like yes, yay, the elves are terrible.
They aren't what you were looking for. Let's say it that way. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. They don't grab me either, but I'm happy about that because I already know I got multiple armies theoretically coming this year. So good. I didn't want to even be remotely tempted by these guys. So, and I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like my non-buying streaks
Gonna
staying
continue
strong.
for a little longer. Just wait till them giants come out. All
I mean,
right.
we'll see.
Sure. Okay. So any other news items we want to talk about? Because I've got one.
I mean, you can go ahead. It's fine.
I don't think we have any other news. It's relatively, other than the Gamma stuff, it was a relatively quiet week.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got Seraphon mostly coming out articles, and that book comes out this week. So
Yeah.
we will be doing a full review of that book at some point here.
Yep.
So down in the description of this video, once it goes live, you are going to see count them, 3 little survey links. Those little survey links are basically the same. They're sort of, it's 30 questions. They're all the same format. And it's asking you what you think about the model lines that have been released during Age of Sigmar. What you personally thought of them on a 1 to 10 scale, and what you think others have thought about them, or what the general acceptance of them has been on a 1 to 10 scale. There have been 15 sort of model line updates. I'm not counting single figure models that were released as part of a box set. So in other words, no Skaven, no FEC, no ogres, people like that. Sorry, ogres, I know you're on the show, but such is life. I had to cut a line somewhere. And when you think of the ogre line, you don't think of the one character, you think of the line. Whereas,
right. And so to be clear, what he's putting his finger on is that these are lines that are basically purely AOS.
Or
these
were largely shaped by their AOS releases, right?
Right. Right. Like
Ardboys obviously predate AOS, but the Ironjaw's army is still has very much been shaped by its AOS releases. And so on and
the
so
same thing with Sylvaneth. Like it has some models.
Daughters of Khaine is a good example. Yes, there were witch elves and sisters of slaughter, of course, but Khanerai and Melusai and Marathi, right? These were very big additions to the line, right?
Yep.
So at any rate, if you've got those the surveys take like a minute to complete each. So it's like 3 minutes of your time. So when you're done, please go down there and click that and take those surveys. I'm trying to collect as much data as possible. I have several hypotheses I would like to test, and the more people who answer, the higher we get towards statistical significance. So
this was a random conversation that emerged out of a Facebook chat.
Yep.
That just exploded into everything.
That exploded into a very large scientific progress. So
when you reveal these, are you going to have like a survey says type thing, or you're not just going to read them, are you? That's
no,
fun.
I am not going to just read them. There will be
We
a
will
show.
probably do a show.
Yeah, we'll do a show dedicated to this. I have to. So I'll probably leave it open through the end of the week. Then I'll close the survey. So if you want to do it, please, if you're watching this, I'll probably leave it open through like the weekend because some people watch on the weekend. So I'll leave it open through there. I'll probably try to synthesize the data at the end of the weekend, beginning of next week. And then probably our next week's show will be about it. Probably. Hold me to that.
Are you done with that conversation?
I am. So they'll be down there after that.
I'm just gonna have one other semi-serious, or actually quite serious comment, and that's regarding the ongoing COVID-19 officially declared pandemic.
Sure.
I just want to remind folks that are going to be attending events to keep an eye on your event pages to find out what's happening. I had a professional conference that was supposed to start tomorrow, and it got canceled today. Yeah. And so I have another professional conference next month that I'm supposed to be at. That's probably not going to happen. So I'll just say that for those that have events coming up in the next month, one of the big ones is Adepticon, but there's a bunch of others, especially in the UK. Just keep an eye. Keep watching the information sources of your TOs, just to see what's ongoing, because the situation seems to be evolving rapidly. And we just need to pay attention to that.
Sure. And if you are going out into like a big event like that, the answer is just follow all the normal precautions that the CDC and other World Health Organization people have recommended. Like, don't avoid physical contact with people. That is to say, don't shake hands and do things like that. You can just as easily wave and say hi or do a little foot bump or give people the Spock symbol or whatever, whatever you want to do. Sorry, there we go. And, you can still be nice and friendly and wash your hands regularly and avoid touching your face and everything will be fine, right? Like, and by the way, if you do feel ill in any way, don't go. It's
Stay
just
home.
And if
stay
you have a
home.
fever, stop.
Yeah, please don't come to an event if you have a fever or are ill. There you go. And we can all be rational and we'll be fine. So there you go. Yeah, I think that's a great note, Tom. 100%. Okay, so gentlemen, shall we go to some pick of the week? Kenny, what do you got for us?
I haven't actually mentioned this on your show, but I'm sure you guys know it, and some people do. But one of my favorite podcasts actually is somewhat local to us, but it's called Cubic Shenanigans. It comes out of Milwaukee, and I'm a big fan. It's got Brendan and Dan do it together, and I think it's just a great. It's my favorite podcast. So
Nice. No, it's a good one.
it's worth checking out. I don't know if you already have a link or something you can throw below, but they do 40K and Age of Sigmar together, and they'll tell you and they timestamp the show. But I just for a variety of like information and reviews, but also like tips about how to be a better player, because I'm not. I'm learning to become a better player. I just think and the sound quality and everything too, and I just think it's a really good show. And if I don't know how popular it is, but I would like it to be more popular.
Nice. It's a great pick. I will link that down below. Tom, what do you got?
I got nothing.
Yeah, Tom's
It's
got.
one of those weeks.
I understand. Tom's had a rough week. Everybody should. I'm not going to go into it, but everybody should give Tom a nice thumbs up message. Give Tom a nice message in the chat or something like that. Tom's had a rough week, so we're all thinking about Tom. Not a problem. So my pick of the week. My pick is actually an event that somebody reached out to me for, but it's a little ways away, and as far as I know right now, it's still happening. So it's April 11th and 12th, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. It's in Vancouver, Canada. Wet Coast GT. There's 33 people signed up for it right now, and they'd like to. Last year they had 36, and they'd like to beat that. So let's see if we can make that happen. Wet Coast GT. I'll drop the link down in the description. So there you go. Run by some really, really great people. I heard all positive things about this last year, so go check it out. I'll put it down below if you're up there in that area, that Vancouver-ish area. Okay. All right. Bri B, I completely agree with you. That does seem absolutely patently true.
I
So
thank you for nosing.
sure. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about some hobby time. Kenny, what have you been working on, buddy? From the diaphragm, what do you got?
I have been working on ogres and the last 3 models for my Stormcast for the team event, the evocators on Dracolines, the little Sex Panthers. So I have been, I finished my 4th Iron Blaster, which I don't think is dirty. I'm either going to do extremely poor or maybe have one really good thing at Adepticon. But I'm just going through and touching everything up because I rushed to get it done for Holy Wars, and we had a great game. I really enjoyed everything, and I've just been trying to get them a bit nicer and do some more detail on the bases and get things where I need to be. So then, of course, as preparing for this, just changed my list yet again. So I have to pull from the pile of already done models, but I've been working on getting everything for the ogres ready, and I want some flexibility too in case I change my mind yet again, which I probably will. So, and I'm sure by the end of this discussion, I'll change it 2 or 3 more times with your input and Tom's input. But yeah, that's pretty much just been Fatties and Sex Panthers has pretty much been my week.
That's a great week to me. Fatties and Sex Panthers sounds like a fantastic week. That's I couldn't plan a better week.
Reminds me of an event also in Vancouver. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Tom,
the CD place.
Yeah, indeed. Tom, what do you got, man? What are you working on?
Dwarves.
Yes, still dwarves, huh?
Yeah, these are. So I somehow I tripled my model count that I needed to have painted
Well done.
in the last week, because of lists. You know how it is.
Sure.
Um, and then I arbitrarily decided that I am tired of carting my huge board to Adepticon, like subjecting us to that.
Let me pause real quick. I want to say this, Tom, for our army. This is not a joke. This is 100% serious. Okay.
Yep.
I had a dream last night. Okay.
Go.
I awoke from this dream
You have my attention.
with visions of the display. I had originally thought about a display board, and I thought I knew what it was going to be for this army I'm building. Okay. For the Whirlwind's Edge.
Yeah.
But in the dream, I saw a model. I saw a board, okay? And I saw what it should be. And I was like, no, this is it. I awoke from it and immediately was like, that was too amazing. And I realized you have that moment of realization that it's not real. Yeah?
Yeah.
As you
Yeah, and you're
pass
like,
back
oh,
into
wow.
awake. And I was so sad. And I was like, no, I will make this real. So I know what it is. Like, I know where we're going with our next display board. And I'm gonna go insane. I want you to know that. So just that's what we're teasing right now.
I'm excited for Insane Vince.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to rent a van for Havoc, I'm okay with that.
Sure, it's entirely possible.
Okay, I don't hate that idea. Yeah, but in the meantime, I wanted to make our life a little bit easier for the Adepticon commute. And assuming it's going to happen. And so I started a board, just kind of accidentally, and now it's like in full swing.
Sure.
Like 100% in full swing. And so now, yeah, it's well on its way. It's going to be part 2 of my dwarf board. And what I mean by that is like it's a 2x2 that like connects to my current big board. And so I also have a vision. I also have a dream, Vince, of a 6x4 foot both game board and also display board for my army for the dwarves. And so this is going to be the second part of that. And so it's already been lined up and everything is in alignment with the prior board. And so I'm excited to keep building. So I say that to say I'm interested and I can't wait to see your dream.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. For my personal hobby time, I finished up this sexy little beast. That's right. She's ready to go. This gorgeous cat llama here. She's all ready to rock with her lustrous locks. So super fun model. It's a little weird how they decided to model some of the fur on her, where she has like very smooth skin that suddenly turns into like weird little fur patches. But you know, we navigated that as best we could. That's a strange choice, modelers. Like that was a very strange choice. But that's okay. So I'll share some pictures up this weekend probably. But I really did enjoy painting this model. It was a lot of fun. This is exactly right. Okay, what I mean by that is we talk about the over detail stuff, you know? This is so exactly right, Tom. Like this thing is exactly the right amount of detail.
Right amount of detail.
Yeah. It's perfect. Like I was at no point inconvenienced by this.
In person.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to buy one, but I look forward to seeing one in person.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's gorgeous. And it went together real simple too. Like easy to put together, perfect amount of detail, very fun to paint. There's like I loved this thing. This is an A+ model. Cat Llama, it just knocked it out of the park. It's a grand slam. There you go. Okay. So, cool. All right. Obviously, always interested in what you all are working on as well. I saw lots of people sharing what they were painting right now, which was wonderful. So I hope everybody's getting some good hobby done. Okay. Well, gentlemen, shall we turn to, I guess it's both turn and return, to the topic of du jour, which is, yes, the Mawtribes, the fat boys, the fat middle themselves. We've
Yeah.
had some time now. We did our original show, and I think for the most part we were fairly positive on the book, with like understanding that there were some challenges in there.
Yeah, but we also said that it wasn't terrible.
Right.
Like, as opposed to the reaction of the internet, we said, no, there's some play with these ogres.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So some time has passed, right? And we've had a couple months of work on this, right?
Yeah.
Of seeing them play in tournaments, of running against them ourselves. So what do we think now? Kenny, I want to start with you because you've been rolling an Underguts army, correct?
I have, yeah.
So what's your current take on them right now?
At first, I thought like, okay, this is kind of cool. I picked that because I like the cannons. It's one of my favorite models from the line back in like when it was Fantasy Army. So I thought I would do that, and ogre shooting, maybe there's some staying power. And I'm actually really happy that in the beginning it seemed like what I was hearing a lot was with people doing that Mawtribe, they'd be doing Underguts, but there's 6 in there, and I mean I've seen them all except one being played. And locally here in our scene, we've had a couple like a friend of mine also started out with Underguts, and then he's gone through like 3 or 4 different of the tribes, and I was happy to see how they developed. There was a fear in the beginning that I thought you needed Beast Claw to do well, and I didn't want to do Beast Claw. There's like 3 and 3 in the Mawtribes of the 6, and I didn't want to do that. So I was happy to see as it's unfolded that there are still a lot of options that are viable, and you don't have to rely on Beast Claw. Those are very strong picks, and that can be a very strong army. But I was worried that it wouldn't be doable without them, and I'm finding that you can do it without them just fine. But it's also pretty common to see them mixed in with a little piece here and there. So they've definitely become way better than I thought. At first I was like, I have no expectations. That's why I was like, I'll take them to Holy Wars because I'll just have fun. I don't really care. They're probably not going to win anything. And I didn't do bad with them, actually. I did quite well. So I've been surprised with them. And it's been interesting to see some of the picks on the internet and people talking about them and their experiences, and mine have been absolutely nothing like that, which has been interesting. Like the Lead Belch are still the MVPs for me. I think in an Underguts army they're better, but even without, I think as a combat troop that can shoot a fire hydrant or beat you with a fire hydrant or shoot cannons at you as a bonus, it was great. So that's been a surprising thing from Holy Wars. But I walked out, we talked about it afterwards, and like, yeah, I think Lead Belchers are like my MVPs. Like they're really good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
I'll stop myself because I'll keep going for a while.
No, it's fine. We're gonna have plenty of chance to go through it. All right. Tommy, what about you?
They're scary.
Sure.
They hit hard, and like those monster trucks are monster.
They are indeed. Is that it? That's your. Yeah. This is the kind of insightful commentary we're looking for.
What I would say is that, like, I think I underestimated the raw threat on objectives that the new rule would present.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure.
Especially with the monster trucks.
Yep.
And I think that it's like the threat there is real, especially because before I was like, yeah, it's 10 models. But like when they come in, they are removing models.
Oh yes, and usually quite a few.
Right. And so like 10 models suddenly becomes like a real scary number against 30 blocks.
Right. Absolutely.
And like you have to kill it out in order for there to not be 10 models there. And suddenly, like in the grind, that actually becomes like an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm lucky in that I've got to both play ogres a fair amount because I ran that army that I painted when the book came out in a day, quite a bit, and I also play against ogres. There's a player in our group who has been basically on the ogre train since the book came out, and so more or less every week that we play. No, it's Tom.
Okay.
Other Tom. And so, like I've had actually quite a lot of chance to play, and he's run multiple different lists over time.
Yeah.
Played with some different stuff. And so I've had a really fun time playing against them. I found that they represent a really interesting challenge. One, like I've played against the uh like the big 12er of,
Yep. The bulls.
of bulls of ogres, right?
Yep.
Many a time. And I will say, like, that is a
Gluttons.
sure, why not? Uh it's whatever their name is this month. I'm sure they'll change it again in the future. Um what I'll say is, when you look at the amount of points that is, it's an impressive amount of both damage, especially when buffed. Especially if you hit if your slot machine hits,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Like if they hit all the 7s.
Right, exactly. When the buffs land, if that +1 came up, if the butcher whatever is around, if they're re-rolling wounds, whatever the case is, right? Then they will suddenly be like explosively, terrifyingly damage dealing, and have a really shocking amount of just wounds they can take back, because 48
Right.
wounds is 48 wounds.
Right.
Right. That's not a small amount of wounds to remove, even on the save they're on, which is not super impressive. Okay. Now, that being said, they are on that kind of lower save. So
Yep.
I have also seen them get straight up exploded if they get hit by something that is like a super
Real.
hammer, right?
Yep.
But if the slot machine has hit, if they're in the right position,
It's
they
terrifying.
it is terrifying, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
there are armies I have that I'm like, I don't know what I do against that, right?
Right.
I get hit by it quite often, and I know one of the securities in a unit of 12, aside from being like points efficient, is that when it hits you, your belly bop goes down. When you have 8 or more, it's on a 4 up as opposed to the 6 up for the mortal wound.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, you have more bodies to go through before you lose your improved belly bopping. But still, I mean, I get hit with that pretty much like once or twice a week with that unit, and where it gets buffed up, and I'm playing against them, and man, it's rough. Like you you just can't. You got to hope that you charge them multiple times and just do. So you get lucky with order of activations and how you're striking them. Because yeah, they don't do any Ren, but I mean, if you're using the realm rules, which I really recommend you do, and you have spells and everything, you can get more buffs. So I mean, them in the realm of fire is, oh my God.
Oh, it's nightmarish. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it can be gross.
Yeah. Yes. If like you get +1 damage on that unit from the Realm of Fire or something, yeah, forget about it. Like, that's good
It's
God.
like all that rage from Ogre High School and gym class when they didn't get much attention, didn't get picked, and then they get out there in the battlefield and they're all ready to go. Those fatties are angry and they're hungry.
Yes.
I think this is an awesome art. They're just so much fun to just role play with your army and just shout stupid things at your opponent or people around you.
No, I
It's a fun
agree. I
army.
think this is a fun army to play and to play against. I've
Yes.
never had, like I said, I've played this army, many weeks, like not every week, but many of the weeks since the book came out. And that player often shows up and is often taking part in the games. And I've never been angry about being across from it. Right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
it always is fun and challenging and fair is what it feels like to play against, right? Like, yep, that's what it does. It hits you real hard. It's an eminently fair army.
Right.
As a note, by the way, they're right now, according to LV stats, Mawtribes is on a 53.1% win ratio, which is statistically equivalent to Flesh Eater Courts. How about
Sure.
that?
Yeah. That's pretty hot.
In the recent stat breakdown. So that's
I mean, that's like Ogre Fire Island hot.
Indeed. So I think that's good. You mentioned like the ogre mortal wound charge, the belly bop, as you call it, right?
Patty's gonna belly bop.
The ogre charge, yes. I will also say I've been impressed by just how dangerous that is when you get multi charges. Even if it's just like, if a big monster comes in and then a couple darts charge in, and they're all landing decent-ish charges, right? 7s, 8, 9s, something like that.
Mhm.
The amount of mortal wounds that just happen there is like, oh, okay, cool. That was a lot of damage before we even started the fight, right? Before that big monster even started to swing. So like having like little lead belcher darts that can multi-charge, or just ogre chaff blocks of gluttons, or whatever it is, or just other characters charging in, any of those things, right?
The Iron Blasters come in. I think ogres are. I found that I think they work pretty well as MSU too. I know that I see the desire to get big units and get the points cost or the point break with the gluttons, but I think the MSU style is pretty effective also for them. For the Billy Bob Reason is a big part of that too.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen lots of play with the monster truck side. I don't want to neglect the monster truck side of this. The monster truck side of this is terrifying. Like you mentioned the cap, Tom, of them counting as 10 and having it be really important. The number of times that just ogres counting as 2 has mattered is shocking to me. Right? When just the reality that their characters can auto steal objectives from your characters.
Yep.
Right?
They just show up and you're just like,
right, like they just took it from you by wandering near.
Yeah.
Right? Because they count as 2. It's a big deal. Right? Oftentimes losing an objective for 1 turn, that's the game. That's the game right there. Right?
Yep.
So that right there is potent. But so my regular ogre player very frequently has either a murder horn or a crunch horn or both. Okay. So the murder horn is obviously running in Boulderhead.
Yep.
And using the black clatter horn to put yourself on 2s and just be a beast of utter destruction.
Yep.
And the crunch horn usually carries the ethereal amulet, right?
Yeah.
And has metal cruncher. And the number of things that guy can crunch, because like the 4-up, it's shocking how often he can crunch stuff.
Yep.
And by the way, the things that are on a 5-up, he can just actually kill in combat because they don't actually have the save to stop him.
Right. Those doesn't really need to worry about.
Right. So those 2 beasties have just proven so difficult to deal with. The ethereal crunchhorn, if you don't have a high amount of like mortal wound dealing, I mean, he is just a monster. Now, there is some stuff that can just pick him up, right?
Yep.
But it's not a common occurrence. That thing is as close to made of steel as you get in this game, right?
True.
Being
it's
a 3-up,
the first time
5-up.
I think I've really felt filthy. Like when I started running one and preparing for Holy Wars, and I finally added one on the list. I felt dirty. Like the thing is just like the thing is so killy. Like it's 400 points well spent. Definitely gets dirty.
It's okay. It's okay, Kenny. You're allowed to win. Like
so my fortune cookie said.
Yeah.
I said, oh, you're allowed to win.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I don't want to underestimate other Stonehorns too, like the 6 monster trucks with just having regular guys. Again, the charging, hitting on a 4-up, counting as 10 models until they're removed. Like, there's gas in that tank as well. I think the big question in my mind, because I've only seen them really like, I think 2 or 3 times in the table have I played against them since the book came out. 3 times. Is Mournfang. I don't know what to make of them yet. The middle ground troops. They don't have the big charge. They still just count as 2 dudes.
We made Joe pick him up before he got to use him, didn't we?
Yeah, correct. Well, he got unlucky there.
Yeah.
He got keepered.
Are they on 4s? I think I keepered.
Yeah.
Are they on 4s? Are there saves on 4s?
You're saying is there save a 4-up?
The
Let's
Mournfang.
find out here.
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
Let's learn together. Yes, they are. They're 4-up.
There you go.
I've encountered them before. I fought against them, and it was what's the one where you hug the side of the table and you can charge if you're within 12 inches.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like it might be dangerous, but every time I got hit by them, I mean, it could have just been someone's luck too. They just didn't really seem that damaging. Like I'm still thinking of them, I think, from like fantasy days when they were the first Monsters Cab that came out. You're like, oh god. And now when I see them, I'm not that worried about them. But they do have some mobility. But I've also found it's easy to kind of block them off if you try.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really unsure about them because they're, it's 6 wounds on a 4-up save, obviously for per Mournfang, right? And you're getting 2 of them for 140, so it's 12 wounds for 140 points. It's not fantastic, honestly. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in them, like sometimes, but it just I've seen them underperform a lot. They're the only question mark I still have in this whole army, to be completely honest. I think I've formulated my opinions on everything else, and my opinion on everything else goes, something like this. I think at a high level, I would say it like this: I love everything Stonehorn. I dislike all of the priests and find their prayers to be worthless. Right, like Thunder Tusks and the general prayer stuff just doesn't do anything anymore. But all the Stonehorn stuff is great. The I like the Butcher and the Slaughtermaster, though you can run without them. Love the regular ogres. I really love Iron Guts. Lead Belchers are good as darts and mobile chaff, is how I like them.
Yep.
And the big monster trucks are scary as all get out. Right? Like, that would be if I... Oh, and the hunters and the cats are a superstar almost every game.
Have any of you guys played against Gorgers?
Nope.
No, my player doesn't own any Gorgers because they're like a really weird model. They're like fine cast, aren't they? Still?
Yeah.
Or metal.
Or metal, I guess, yes. I've never played against a Gorger, not even once.
It's weird because like they can reroll their charges and they're 80 points. So like I've been wrestling before I redid the list, and I'm probably gonna do it again before Adepticon a couple times. But it's the cost of two of a single, like call them darts of the lead belchers. So I don't know. It's kind of like back and forth. Like for a shooting army, it's nice to have something be able to go in the back and ambush. But I think the downside is you have to ambush. You have to go on turn one, and you can reroll your charges and everything. But I feel like there's always the question of, do you put one down or do you put a unit of 2 or 3? I think it's more common to see the singles because you can go different way, different targets, but at the same time, it's like, well, how many of these are effective, or am I just putting one on the table? Is it doing a task, or is it 80 points thrown away? So I don't know. I haven't found that balance yet with them.
Sure,
but I guess I do shock opponents because they're like, "What is that thing?" Like, it's a gorgeous. I don't know what that is. I'm like, oh, here, it's this model they used to have. So yeah, I guess people don't know about them. So that's
it's a good call. I literally forgot all about them, that they even exist. But
I don't know when I would take them over Frost Sabers with a hunter.
No, I wouldn't. I agree with who said they're more expensive. Man swine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were down to like 60 or even 50. That'd be one thing, but 80 points, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. What I will say is, like, somebody had mentioned the Firebelly. Like, what about the Firebelly, Yetis, Maneaters, things I didn't mention. So let's get into some. Let's get into some of the more less used units. That'll be a fun thing to explore. You kicked it off with the Gorger. My vote on the Gorger is no, not worth it in the end. Like, it's not. He doesn't fill any role. I don't think he's worth it. Now, maybe somebody will shock me or have a different opinion, but that's my take on him. Anybody back in Gorgers here?
I mean, I just don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
He jumps out. It's like, surprise.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's situational. Like if you need to pull somebody in the back, if they leave a gap, or if the opportunity's there and you can make it work on turn one, that's awesome. They can do work. But if not, then he's just kind of thrown away. And I don't know. I mean, first time I used him, I forgot to even use him. Like I said, to go on turn one to ambush. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to use my guy.
Yeah, I've done that.
So I don't know. I think if they were cheaper, then it'd be worth trying them out. But yeah, for now, I don't know. It's only has a certain role, and that role is becoming less desirable as it goes on too.
Sure. I mean, when I think about it, I just think like, no, Hunter and Cats are superstars because they come in and they drop a charge like it's nobody's business, and I can fit them in a skull really easy. And I love the skull as your battalion pickup because it's just the easy way to get a battalion in there when you don't have any other battalion you want, and it's get you that second artifact, get you that bonus command point, which you're always hungry for. Pun intended.
Yep.
Right. And it's just like if you make the Icebrow Hunter the general, then the Frost Sabers are even counting as battle line, right? Like it's multitasking so much, right? And it's cheap as dirt. You're getting 4 cats for that one Gorger. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, those cats, to be fair, can like do work, especially against lightly armored targets. Now they die to a stiff breeze because they're dum-dums on a 6-up. But nonetheless, I've seen cats do plenty of work, plenty of times, especially on like exposed characters or bringing them in like turn 3 when things are thinner, right?
Yep.
Because they can't just pop up anywhere. It's not like they have to walk in from a board edge. They just come
for
in,
the
charge,
job
and
they do,
murder.
I think they're much better.
Yeah. Like, I definitely back the hunters and the cats. I am a big stand for them. All right. Other lightly used units, things we don't often talk about and probably didn't dig into as much. Let's talk about Yetis.
Yetis?
Yeah. What do we think about Yetis? So let's lay down the basics, okay?
Okay. How are you
Here's
going
the
to
basics. You get 3 Yetis for 110 points, and they're only battle line if your general's on a Thunder Tusk. So if he's on the bad mount. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. So there we go. That's the basics. All right. So back to it.
How are you acquiring these models? Are you buying them? Like,
I assume you're buying either the
right?
the actual Finecast Yetis, or you're using any of the many wonderful third-party versions of Yetis, or you're taking regular ogres and putting big fur coat and green stuffing big fur coats on them and covering it in snow.
Oh, like ogre pimps.
Yes,
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little pimp jackets.
I might be interested.
Mhm.
Like in light of that, like the pimp squad. Okay,
Be pimping.
you have my attention.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, assuming Yetis, one of their special abilities does activate by having a Thunder Tusk, which, as we've said, no. I generally don't back Thunder Tusks, right? They walk around with a neg 1 to hit. You are getting 12 wounds for your 120 points, but that's on a 6-up save, right? But they do move 9 inches, and they have the traditional 6-inch pile-in.
110 points.
Yeah.
Does this get FAQ'd?
I think that
Isn't
if
that
you,
right? Did I get the points wrong?
no,
I'm right. 110.
Yeah,
Oh,
here's the deal.
120. I'm sorry.
If you went all in on them, I'm down.
If that was like your strat,
Yeah.
If you're going hard Yeti,
Yeah, like 3 max size units.
okay.
No, I like.
Why? What's your plan there?
I mean, each pack of 3 has an 18 damage cap. It's going to average 6 damage. 6 damage at neg 1 rend base. They have run and charge, so you could get them across the table at 15-inch move base, and then a charge on top of that. They don't technically get the movement buff of the hungry stuff, do they?
What? Oh, the Yetis?
Yeah.
No, they're not ogres.
No, because they get the frost, like the hurt. Do they even get the blizzard stuff, or they don't get that either?
Are you asking like, do they get the Everwinter stuff? No, they're
Yeah.
Beast Claw.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what their ability is then.
They can pile in 6 inches, which is tempting.
Allegiance ability. Sorry, like what's their associated? What allegiance ability are they benefiting from, or nothing?
Oh, are you asking just in the generic allegiance abilities?
Yeah.
What are they benefiting from? Right. So they're not an ogre or a Rhinox. Okay.
Right.
So they don't get trampling charge. Okay?
Right.
They do have the grasp of the Everwinter. That was your question about that, because they are Beast Claw Raider units, right?
Yep.
They do not get Might Makes Right because they are not an ogre unit or an ogre monster.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They'd be a fun 1,000-point army. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is honestly that they are. I mean, you put your finger on a good point there, which is that they do miss out on a lot of the allegiance abilities of the army, right?
Yep.
And they get the least interesting one. It's not that like the Breath of the Everwinter thing or whatever it's called is fine enough. It's fine enough on things that are going to get stuck in.
It's just fine.
So like the Stonehorns, especially like your Ethereal Stonehorn, I've seen that thing do wounds plenty of times, because turn 3, 4, 5, if they're stuck into stuff and just grinding to win on an objective, right? Tossing a couple extra mortal wounds is fine when you've got a 50, 60, 70% chance of it happening as the game goes on, right?
Yep.
Just this last weekend, I had my ogre opponent had 2 Beast Claw Raider units in combat and killed the thing in his hero phase that they were fighting, which freed them up to then move and charge later. And then he went and took another objective, right?
Yep.
In turn 4.
I mean, you can't bank on that, but it does happen.
No, but I mean, rolling a 4 or less twice is not exactly the most statistically unlikely thing to happen.
It's true.
You know, it's not. It's you're not. That's not exactly double sixes or anything. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're fine. I think that they might be a fun, like, niche army. I don't think that they're hyper competitive.
Okay.
But like, I could see doing like a heavy Yeti build at 1,000 points.
Okay. Just for fun.
Yeah, like a fun team thing.
Yeah, like a fun team thing. I could totally do that, and I think that they would be perfectly competitive in that type of environment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Especially if you only do like 1 pack of them and then mix them up with some of the other tools. I think that they could be a fun tool.
Yep.
I don't have any anymore. I used to have 18. Because I
Wow.
was building a horde of Yetis in fantasy. Because apparently no one had ever seen it. Then I got them and then they're gone.
There it is.
I don't own any. I'm not really in any rush to get any models for those.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about man-eaters. The unit I want to love more than anything because they've got like, they got the coolest story. They've got cool, like some of their models are really old, but they're still honestly pretty amazing. All the different man-eater models that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the basics of man-eaters. 3 in a unit, 180 points.
Fast.
It's like, it hurts. Still 4 wounds each on a 5-up stave. You know, they are ogres, obviously, and all that, so they benefit from all the ogre stuff. They have a fairly average-ish ranged attack. You know, 3s and 3s, neg 1, d3 damage with their pistols and throwing stars. And their main attack is their slicers and bashers. 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage each. So they have a sort of very basic ogre attack, right? But with rend. So,
yep.
Okay. And then obviously they've got their been there, done that, where you can pick a special ability, which the thing you're going to pick most of the time is Striders, where the unit can run and charge.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, yeah, that's the one. I definitely think this is going to get a points drop.
I agree.
Like, if anything, well, Gorgers I think needs to, but I feel like this is definitely going to get a point drop because these models are great. But if you look at they're like the one. I know there's different models, and a few of them have sold out. Like the Bragg Gutsman one and Golfag Maneater have sold out. But like these are like the ones that weren't selling out. Like all the other units were selling out for a long time, but not these. And they are awesome models. And if you even do like a hero or an ogre from a different model line or a different company, and you want to use it in, Maneater's a good place to bring that ogre in.
Yeah.
Or like I got some female ogres from the what was that Kickstarter, the Atlantis one that they did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean those fit in pretty nicely there because like the scale is pretty similar, so you can tie them all together. I just think it's a shame. Like I tried using them once, and I did the run and charge thing. I was thinking like maybe they can go get an objective or tie up a shooting unit, but yeah, they were very not even lackluster. They were disappointing.
I agree.
The balloon was deflating. I was like, oh.
If they were 4+ save.
Yeah, that would be nice.
If they were 4+ save and had like an option in their been there, done that to go to like a 3-up in melee only.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I would be repping these guys hard. I'd be like, oh well, okay, now a horse of a different color all of a sudden, right?
They would have a purpose then.
Yeah.
They would be like mobile anvil, but
Sure.
that's not what they are.
No. That's just the problem. They die so easy. Every time I've used them, they just die so easy.
And it's really unfortunate because this is arguably the unit with the best like utility, like from a design hobby standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could just convert these guys in like any way you want. You can go nuts with them. It's super fun.
Yeah, they're fun to paint. I did kind of wonder when they came out with the compendium. I was like, you're taking a model range that's so vast. You have all these different character models and putting them together. And yes, they so the ninja stars are included in there, but there's only the one ninja. And I don't know, I just felt like they crammed everything together, but it was disappointing. So from a collector and modeler challenge, I would like to see them switched up a little bit.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd like to see them on tables.
I guess I totally identify with that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not, if assuming the scroll doesn't change, then something like, I don't know, what's the appropriate amount here? 140, 150, something like that, probably, right?
Maybe
For their cost. That's probably more like, at least you're 180 right now. They're just so outside the box.
140 would be okay.
Yeah, I'd be okay with 140. Like, that would make them the same as Mournfang. Like, they'd have the same number of they'd have the same wounds to point ratio, right? But without the ability to ever be battle line.
Right.
Right, Mournfang can become battle line. And, you know, without the extreme mobility. I suppose, well, I don't know that Mournfang have extreme mobility, but they're faster. You know, so whatever. The run and charge should probably about equal out. Let's put it that way.
It's fine.
Yeah. That feels more equivalent. That's what I'm saying, right? Certainly feels better than 180. Let me say that.
Ugh.
Yeah, 140 is better.
Yeah.
Okay. One more I want to touch on here, and then we'll get into some other stuff. Let's talk about fire bellies.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. All right. So you're repping the. Tell me what you like about fire bellies, Kenny. Why do you like the fire bellies?
All right. Well, we put the model aside because I love the model,
Mhm.
and I think it's one of the. But okay, I'm a fan. The breath attack, when you remember that it's there and you actually get to use it, can be somewhat decent. But it's it's 120 points. They're a wizard, and so their spells. They have there's 3 spells you can get are casting 5, 6, and 8. So I think the spells are okay, but the 8 one like the Blazing Ash is kind of hard to get off. But when you're using realms and stuff and you have access to more spells, then that's another spellcaster you got there. And a chance to get one of those big spells out. But I just that spell too that they have seems really kind of dumb, but when you get it to go off, it can actually be pretty decent. And it's another like single dart to do a belly bop. I don't. Was it my game with you or something? I hit somebody. It was Patrick Brindleston, but I hit him like an 11 on the charge, which he has above average. But it was just the impact of more single ogre units that could come onto somebody. So I mean, spellcaster, a unit that's not horrible in combat. He's not going to really deal much damage, but like the belly bop's pretty good. The hero for the beacon, especially too, because a lot of the sub factions require like I don't know. I call it like a beacon model of the hero that wholly within the hero.
Sure.
So I mean for the different tribes, I find it's good too to have cheap ogre heroes that you kind of need. So this he's 120. He's cheaper than a slaughtermaster or a butcher.
Okay, right on. Yes, that's true. He is 20 points cheaper. Tom, any thoughts on the fire belly?
Pass.
Got it. That's a pass on him. All right, Tom. Let me ask you this question.
Hard pass, dog.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Let's say he's 100 points. Is he interesting to you there? If he's there, basically, if he becomes the cheapest ogre hero.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because that's what it would make him. He'd be 20 points cheaper than the hunter. And to me, that actually feels appropriate for him. Okay?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I'd be interested then. Like, you would have my attention.
Yeah. Let me tell you, let me defend 100 points for this guy to everybody. I think at 100, he becomes an interesting player.
Yep. Because
right now at 120, he's competing with the hunter, and he's only 20 points off a butcher or a slaughtermaster, and that's not enough. Right?
Nope.
I points wise, he's also competing with an iron blaster, a scrap launcher. Make of that what you will, but those are just things of equivalent points. At 100 points, he becomes an interesting, cheaper option that's sort of halfway between the really cheap stuff of the army and this. Yep. I think that he is. Like, when you look at him, he's a 7 wound hero with a 5-up save. Yes, he's a spellcaster, but he has nothing special. He can cast a spell. And his spell required to do anything, like the spell he comes with, requires a melee presence. Like, he has to go get into it, right? So, to me, now, that's not the same. That's not true for depending on the spell you select out of his lore, but whatever. I just feel like there's real potential there, but he just needs to be cheaper so that you feel less bad when he gets up there and dies, which is what's going to happen, right?
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Probably, and like, if he was at 100 points, I'd be like, okay, well, now that he's cheaper than everything else, I can actually see the argument.
100's good too. I don't know how often you found, but I saw ogre players, and this is a question for the chat. But there's do you stay by your maul pot or not? Do you advance forward? I know that varies person to person and game to game, but I like, because some scenarios you need a wizard to capture an objective or to get better benefit from an objective, So I mean, it's situational, but cheaper hero to go forward, and they can. Sometimes you have for the underguts. I usually put my blast keg on him if I don't have a tyrant, and have him come up and throw that, and then he's kind of done his thing. It just depends, really. I think I don't really ever see them. I mean, I use them. I have like even a list with 2 of them in there. I don't know. I think it kind of catches people out sometimes because they like, oh, fire belly, and they forget he has a breath weapon. And,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at the most it's what, D3 mortal wounds.
D3, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's a little bit of extra pop, but I mean, it's another chance to charge and do a belly bop, and
it's another source of mortal wounds.
I break it down and think of it like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can never underrate a source of mortal wounds. Mortal wounds are mortal wounds. They are really good. Like that's what they do. They crack things and can be pretty good to have at your disposal. So sure. It's just right now he doesn't compete at the point levels yet. That's all I'd say.
100 points would be nice.
Yeah, yep. I think at 100 he would be. You'd actually see him show up in some lists. That would be my argument. Not every list he doesn't become an auto include.
I exist.
That's right. That's right.
Acknowledge me.
Witness me. All right.
Fire belly lives matter. Or they're just short.
Indeed. Okay. So I think that's a good unit breakdown of the lesser used units.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So the next thing I want to talk about is let's just quickly revisit our initial discussion on the various tribes.
Sure.
So originally we had talked about basically, okay, Boulderhead and Bloodgullet being the 2 tribes that stand out, with Underguts being like it's there, right? And the rest are just also included in this book for reasons we can't quite figure out, right? Do we stand behind that still? Has anything you've seen changed your opinion of that?
The Blood Gullet, I don't really see that much anymore. In the beginning, I did.
Sure, it was all the rage at the beginning, right?
Yeah, it's again when this book came out, you looked at on paper like, hey, what's going to be good here? The Underguts, I think, have done okay. I'm glad to see them. Like when I see coverage of other events that they're there. I was worried at the beginning because I thought it seemed like everyone was going to play that. I'm like, great, I'm going to have the same army as everybody else. But let's move around. But I mean the Thunderbellies or the Boulderhead. I don't know, that one I see quite a lot, and that's monster trucks and everything. That's terrifying.
It is indeed terrifying.
I feel it's kind of shifted from now. It's page the double page spread, pages 84 and 85. It's kind of where I'm sitting right now, but that's just me personally, and from what I've seen, everyone's seen is different. I don't know if you guys have a lot of ogre players in your area. We have more than I thought we would have.
It is a fun army to collect, and it's a relatively easy army to collect too. Like we said that originally, and I stand behind it. Like this is a good starter army. If somebody was looking to get in the game, yeah, exactly, I'd be like, well, are you interested in ogres? Because if so, look at that army. Does that appeal to you? Because this is a good army to start with. Cost-wise, play-wise, experience-wise.
Yeah.
Like, on every thing, model-wise, frankly.
On all tricks, yeah.
Yeah, like, on every box I would tick of good starter armies, this one is a success.
Yep.
Right.
I would agree with that.
I would also state, by the way, in LLV's most recent stats, this is the 3rd most represented faction in the meta.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Good.
Something like, let's call it tilde 6.4%.
Huh.
Because I don't remember the
I
exact
think a lot
number.
of people had the armies, and then they could pick up the start collecting box, and the Beast Claw was a good way to get into it. Yeah, I think the book made the Gutbusters viable. It wasn't just the Beast Claw book anymore.
Right. Tom, any thoughts? Do you agree those are still the 3 that are in the discussion?
Yeah, like I still think that there's gas in the Blood Bullet.
Wow.
They're quite gassy.
That's a bold statement. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people try to make Winterbite work, and it just doesn't. I can't get behind it. I think the other 2 aren't even in the conversation, in my estimation. What I'll say is I think the tide has definitely shifted over to Boulderhead as being the one you discuss, the one you take, even when you have only half your army in monster trucks.
Yeah. It just punches monster trucks up so high.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people were going to do Meat Fist, and I saw a lot of people that painted at like Red Right Fist and then not use that anymore. So now they're working into their narratives.
Of
Which I
course.
say go for it.
Meat Fist was never good. I don't know what people were thinking there, but there you go. Okay. So there's a question here. What about the Iron Blaster versus the Scrap Launcher? Well, in our original show, we had a big discussion of Iron Blaster versus Scrap Launcher. Like
I convinced Vince that there's gas in the scrap launchers,
which I still stand behind. I agree. Scrap Launcher better than Iron Blaster. Yes, I stand. I agree, Tom. I'm with that.
Oh,
sorry,
I
man.
don't know. I guess it just depends. Having one or two, maybe not so big. If you're doing like the junk mob, then
Yeah,
the scrap launchers.
Well,
in junk mob, you
junk mob.
Yeah, you got to be junk mob if you're going scrap launchers. Like you're doing junk
one
mob.
Or two is just kind of like meh. But I don't know. I'm working. I mean, I did the underguts because I like the iron blasters, and this is the first time I've tried using 4 of them.
Let me know.
They're decent, but I think I've seen that they're not as good outside of the underguts. If you're doing the underguts, like you're going all in, yeah, they're really good. Outside, they just kind of seem like you can get 1 or 2 even, and you're like, I'm not really sure what to do with these. But I mean, you can still charge them into things. They still have impact hits. They're not horrible, but yeah, they I think like with both of those, they need to be with their respective battalion or Mawtribe.
Yep,
Sure.
I agree with that.
No, that's fair. So okay, so do you have more details? Why do I love the junk mob? What and specifically the scrap launcher. Okay, so the junk mob battalion is 1 to 3 units of Noblars and 1 to 2 scrap launchers. You're going to take 1 unit of Noblars at min, which is 100 points, and you're going to take 2 scrap launchers, which are 120, right? And what this does is add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the piles of old scrap used by any Noblar scrap launchers from this battalion while they're within 3 inches of any Noblar units that have 20 or more models, right? So
Yep.
There you go. That's what you're going to do. You're going to basically hide the Noblars back there with the scrap launchers, and then you're going to go nuts with firing those things. So the scrap launchers.
So that little cluster is going to hold an objective, or probably 2 objectives, because like if they're like 16 inches apart or whatever, 14 inches, right? No,
You
18.
could spread out, but let's
218. You can put like the mob in the middle, those like edging into the 2 objectives with the 2 things in each one in each of the objectives within 6 inches, and then they can hold 2 objectives in the backfield and still shoot.
Right. So, and the trick with the scrap launchers is, so scrap launchers have 3 attacks with their piles of old scrap base. Goes to 4 in junk mob, right? Because +1 attack.
Yep.
On 3s and 4s, no rend. And if you target a unit that has 10 or more models, then your damage becomes D6. So
it's basically a crawler.
Yeah. Like it's a low rent crawler. You're not wrong. Like it's a low rent Mortek crawler, right? Like it's the junk version of it, right? But that's what you're doing. You're just fishing out there. You're throwing out 8 attacks out of these 2 scrap launchers, right? That hit on 3s, wound on 4s, no rend, and do D6 damage. Like you're just literally throwing it out there and, trying to damage units that have 10 or more. So your prime targets are just any massed unit.
Got it. 4 went through. Okay, 5d6. Let's see what happens. Or
right.
5 went through out of these 2 ones. 3d6. Let's see what happens.
It's just a lot of dice to roll.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Like I love the idea of a junk mob. It is, again, it's a relatively cheap battalion to work in as well. Cost wise, it's not expensive to get into your army. So you can still actually have just like a ton of other points to do other stuff with. The junk mob doesn't need to be your strat, right?
Right. No, it's like an ancillary thing that you have on the side. It's utility that you can use in addition to the rest of the stuff that's out there.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
I'm not doing it because I don't want to paint the models, but I think that there's something there.
That's perfectly fair. So there you go. That's and in my opinion, no, that doesn't go in an all Noblar army. You don't go crazy. You literally you build your junk mob like that. It's basically at mins, and it's this weird range threat that's there. And then you mix in maybe like a monster truck, and like I would still play it in Boulderhead probably or whatever. Maybe a monster truck or 2, and then some ogres, season to taste, right? And that's my list, right? You could still have a skull in there too, by the way. You could actually be a double battalion. It's cheap enough you can get away with that. And I think that's actually a really nice mix. I think against certain armies, it's a scary thing to suddenly be putting off that many shots in the air that just have a chance to do d6 damage, right?
Right.
Yeah, a little horde busting.
Sure,
Never
absolutely.
hurt anybody.
If you're feeling especially saucy, you could always hit one of the scrap launchers with the reroll ones on the hits. Why not? If you got a command point,
That's true. Yeah.
it's there. It's a thing you can do. You got to have plenty of command points to power that, but you could do it if you really wanted to. Okay, so let's talk about. We mentioned Skull. We mentioned Junk Mob. Let's talk about some other battalions. Okay. We saw a lot in the beginning. We saw a lot of like Gormand, right? People running the Slaughtermaster and that thing. I've seen less of that recently. Okay.
Yep.
I still see it. Don't get me wrong. It still shows up. It's not like people went, "Oh no, that's bad." I don't think so. I think I just see less of it.
Right.
I've started dropping it because it seemed like I want a battalion for this and this, and then I'm looking. I mean, that's why I just did it for the list for Adepticon too. Like, I don't need this here. I can just buy a command point. I don't really need the extra artifact. Like, there's just points wasted. So yeah. I feel like the more I play and the more I play around ogres, I feel like since the book has come out, I've gotten a very good exposure to the different battalions. I think I've played or played against almost all of them. Not the mega battalions, but the ones that are like the 4 that are there for
that are actually playable in 2K.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess you couldn't really do that. Yeah, so I don't know. They're it's just kind of hard sometimes with the points. Like you just have to build the list right, like because things are pretty expensive in the army. And it just sometimes you don't have 120 or 140 points to spend.
Right.
Yep.
No, it checks out.
So I think the one that we want to add into the discussion that we didn't really talk about last time, and I think we kind of wrote it off, but there's been some people playing it who've really turned around my opinion on it.
Okay.
Is the Eurobad.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Eurobad is 140 points. It requires a Huskard on Stonehorn, which is, look, let's be honest, that's a tax. Okay.
Right.
I am not a big fan of the Huskard on Stonehorn.
Right.
But I also don't hate him. Like, it's still a Stonehorn, right? He still has his rock hard horns and his crushing hooves.
It's fine. It's fine.
He's fine, right? He's
fine.
He can buff your, Mournfang and so on and so forth. He's fine. He's taxy, but fine. Okay?
Yep.
But as well, it has 1 to 3 Stonehorn Beast Riders and 2 to 4 Mournfang packs. Okay? Is what you're taking here. And obviously that fills out your battle line, right? Like your battle line is fine through combinations of that. Yeah?
Yep.
So you can get more Stonehorn Beast Riders, which is ultimately what, that's part of your monster truck plan, right?
Yep.
And the ability here is if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon used by a model from this battalion is a 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. I think that's actually a really good ability,
Sure.
right? Because these guys make a lot of attacks.
Right.
A lot of different attacks, spicing in some more mortal wounds. So you're charging for mortal wounds. The start of your hero phase, you're triggering mortal wounds, and now all your attacks can trigger mortal wounds, right? I mean,
Okay.
Tom, you played an attrition army that was all about never doing anything except triggering mortal wounds for a long time, and were very successful at it, right? That was defensively. You were going for a defensive kickback strategy. This is an offensive mortal wound splash strategy. But my point is, it's still, I think, valid.
You're saying it's viable, and
Yes.
it's already like the key. I think what makes this so tempting is that it's in an army that's already splashing a bunch of damage.
Yep.
And so this is just pushing the high damage things higher.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I think that's exactly right.
And so, okay, I can see it.
Yeah. And to me, cool. This also justifies, I think, Mournfang. Like, in this position, I like him. I'd still probably run 2 min packs.
Yep.
Right? I don't know that I'd want to spend any more than that. I'm not all in on, like, a Mournfang strat in any way here.
Sure.
But, like, let's get our head around the points there, okay? So we can just talk that through. So the Huskard on Stonehorn is 320.
Yep.
The Stonehorn Beast Riders, which are obviously also battle line if your general's a Beast Claw Raider, right, is 300 each.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And your Mournfang packs are 140. So you need 2 of those, right? So that's what you're looking at. All in, more than 1,000 points for this thing, but you can build out from there, right? You could have, if you want all Stonehorn Beast Riders, cool, they can all fit in this one drop.
Right.
Right? Obviously, you can still lay your Frost Lord on Stonehorn on top of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfectly fine addition, right?
Yep.
Pushing it up. You could also, this battalion itself, the Eurobad's 140 points. There's also a build where you can have this and a skull.
Yep.
Right? So that gets quite expensive. You're dropping 240 points in battalions at that point. So it's real expensive. You're very min on the skull, but it does fit. Right? So there's options here.
I typically see this when people are getting like the start collecting box. They get like 2 or 3 of those to start an army, and this is a good fit for that.
Yes.
But outside of it, I remember seeing it too when the book came out, and then we started like seeing the tournament lists from around the world, and it was in there a lot, and it's been on the decline. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of fallen out of favor.
Sure. I mean, I'll say it's not perfect, right? But I think it's good. Like, I think it has gas, but I think it's tough. Like, I would love it if if that Huskard on Stonehorn was a Frostlord on Stonehorn, which I know none of them are. They're all Huskards, right? Because you have to stupidly you have to go all the way up to the impossible Mega Battalion to get a Frostlord on Stonehorn, which is just, I don't get it. Why?
I asked them to stop printing them a long time ago.
Well, I like the presence of the Mega Battalions. I just hate when they do silly crap like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's silly that there's no battalion that's accessible where you can't take a Frostlord on Stonehorn. One of the, like, obvious generals of this army.
Yep.
Right? So
I don't know.
that would make it perfect for me. I think you'd see this thing left and right. As it is, I think it's got gas, but it's not you got to be aware of the tax.
Sure.
So, that being said, there's no reason that the Huskard can't still do plenty of work. Right? Like, especially if he's you make the Frostlord on Stonehorn your Murderhorn, you make the Huskard your Crunchhorn. That's fine. Right?
Yeah.
Should be fine.
I don't know. 1,000 point armies. I mean, we had some events where there's like 2 or 3. It was like three models. Like they have like the Frostlord and the 2 Stonehorn, the riders. Like, oh my god. I mean, yeah, ogres. I think ogres and trolls, but ogres do well in like team games, 1,000 point team games.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they're fun.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Okay, cool.
I'm trying to bring some fatty life to this.
No, I agree.
Role playing. Look, I'm in this unflattering angle. I look like a glutton. I have like 6 extra chins in this angle.
Nice.
You're role playing ogres well.
I could, right?
Sure.
Ogres ate Bob Ross. It's not good.
Yes. Okay. So Mogwai said, "Can we just get another art page instead of Mega Battalions?"
That would be great. That's much better spent.
Sure, I have no problem with that. So, what's interesting to me about ogres as they stand right now, let's talk about where this army goes in the future, okay? Like, let's talk about what we've seen to be its general strengths and weaknesses. This would be a nice transition into our sort of summary thoughts on it, right, in this revisit. And where we think it could go. So, we've talked a little bit about some of the points changes we'd like to see.
Yep.
And I think those are all good. I hope to see that. It's always sharpening the knife. We're gonna have lots of opportunities for points changes come the summer GHB, right? Because we've had so many new armies injected into the mix.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what that points rebalancing looks like.
Sure. As a side note, I really hope that this is the GHB where we get to see some Skaven points come down. What I mean by that is not any of the stuff that's gone up needs to come back down. That's not before you try to string me up, audience.
Yeah.
Like, I've been super fine with all the upward points adjustments that have happened in Skaven. I think they're great.
Like
What's that?
You're saying like Doomwheel. Bring Doomwheel down.
Sure, or like Rat Ogres. The stuff that nobody ever uses. The problem with an army that has a lot of attention on it with things that are obviously underpointed and bent is that only those get talked about and then fixed, which I'm fine with. Good, fix that stuff. Great, let's have that happen. Yes, A+, that's our highest priority. That's our highest Sev issue. Cool. Great. But like, can rat ogres please be cheaper now? That would be wonderful. Thank you. They're garbage. It just makes me sad. Just like, can the other stuff, can I get like a discount on some things that are bad that I would like to run just for fun? Thank you very much. It won't make them good, but at least they'll be a little bit more, playable. At any rate, so we've talked about that. And I think we'll see some of that same stuff, like we mentioned, the fire belly, all that kind of thing, right?
So do any points need to go up? That's the question.
I'll say no. I don't think any points in this army need to go up. I don't know.
I think that's a bold statement. How about you, Kenny?
I can see the argument, I guess, for the frost swords and stonehorn, but I think for 400 points, I mean that's a giant chunk. No, I don't know. I guess because there's a lot of units you don't ever see. I don't know if they need to go up really.
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial.
Okay.
Ooh, good.
What happens? Or let me ask a question. Let's do it this way. What happens if all horde discounts disappear?
Why would you think all horde discounts are going to disappear?
I'm just asking.
Oh, sure. If they do,
yeah. What happens? Do ogre glutton stay the same?
So instead of being 12 for 400, they'd be 12 for 480. That's what you're asking, right? Or do they need to come down?
Well, that's the question.
That's something I can see. That's one thing that pops to mind. I guess you could. The gluttons. I mean, I know I typically see them in 12 because of the discount.
Right.
So,
Like I don't see them not in 12s. Like if they're on the table, they're in 12s. And so
I mean, I guess if that price changes, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't be necessarily like that because maybe you'd see more of the iron guts out there.
When you see something only occur, like when there's options and you only see it ever occur one way, often that's a flag that there might be like an issue.
Can be, I suppose.
And I don't know that that's the case here, so don't misunderstand me. Sure. I'm that's what I'm asking. We've seen them move away from some horde benefits, like some horde discounts.
Sure.
Could things get rebalanced around removing horde discounts? And if so, what happens to something like these guys? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, sure. So let's walk down this theoretical road, agreeing that I don't think that's going to happen. Sure. Like the Seraphon don't have a lot of horde discounts, but neither do the ogres. And I think I think they've been more sparing with them, which, by the way, is how they should have been the whole time.
Sure.
Like some armies in the middle there, they were just throwing it at everything, right? Like everything you hoard it up, you get a discount. No, stop that, right? That was should be for a very particular few units in the army where they're meant to be used, in these big groups, right?
Yep.
Okay, so in a world where let's just walk down this theoretical. In a world where there's no more horde discount, there would be a ton of points rebalancing you need to do, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, I would push them to 110, so you'd split the difference.
Okay.
Right, so it'd be 440 for a full pack.
Okay.
That's the right answer.
Interesting. Yeah.
You need like the whole movie now, like in a world.
Correct.
Where there
yes.
are no more horde discounts.
Yes, I was doing movie guy voice.
Dystopian future of Warhammer.
Yes, I don't see that happening, but that's what I would say.
100 points.
Yeah.
What about
I don't disagree. Would you think we'd see them in less than 12s? Do you think we'd see 9s because of the charge benefit?
It would be.
Yeah, I think you would.
You think you would?
Probably, but that's hard to predict. There's a lot of cross incentives there because other points would move too in that world, right?
Right.
Theoretically.
Right.
So it's hard to say what the outcome of that would be. What do we want to see for the future in this army? We've seen that they're willing to expand armies in White Dwarf, right? Nighthawk got the treatment. Slaanesh got the treatment. Most recently, Ironjaw's got the treatment, right?
Yep.
So ogres get their own White Dwarf article, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm a subscriber, so I don't get it till the 30th of the month. But what would be in it?
Sure. Let's just imagine. Yes.
Yep.
Exactly. I think the Iron Jaws is a great template we can use partially here. So
Okay.
we got a really cool, not super competitive, but cool.
Yep.
And one of the things they clearly are very transparent about what they do with White Dwarf is they're trying to give new play options to the army.
Yep.
Right? I think a super cool option in there would be one where they actually had like a Frost Lord on Stonehorn in a battalion that you can use, like in a boss style battalion where you had to have multiple Frost Lords on Stonehorn in it. Okay, like they did for the multiple mega boss on Mawtribes.
So the whole article would be Frostlord based, because
doesn't have to be.
well, like normally they choose like a tribe.
Okay, sure.
And so,
Let's say they do. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We'll get a tribe. Let's make
So
it
what
focuses on
tribe-
making winter the winter bite, which is like everybody wants to do, but it just can't happen.
Okay.
Right. So
Yep.
this makes this is an article where winter bite. The goal here is to make winter bite have more options.
Okay.
Okay. So we get a big battalion focused on Frost Lords on Stonehorns, like a boss style battalion. About
Sure.
multiples of them rolling together.
Okay.
Okay. There's one. We get another type of battalion based solely around Yetis that gives the Yetis a cool ability, right?
Okay.
Okay. Where it's just like literally Yeti hordes is the idea of the battalion.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I actually have a thought about this.
I don't hate this.
Okay. All right, Kenny, what's your thought?
Well, I don't think it came up, but there's only one. Is it just the one priest, right? It has to be a Huskard on the Thunder Tusk to be able to be a priest. It's the only like the same other version doesn't have the priest keyword, but this does. So I can see them maybe doing something where you could offer the priest keyword to another model.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because it's the only one.
Sure. So somebody else could be a priest. Okay.
Yeah, it'd still be Beast Claw. I mean, you could still. That might be something to do with this winter bite approval. Just something else on the Stonehorn can gain the keyword priest.
Sure, I'm down with that. It would be super cool if we lived in a world where like the Icebrow Hunter could become a priest.
That would be awesome.
If there was a battalion that made him into a priest, and he had to, maybe he's in the Yeti battalion, and like he's used his priestly magic to ensnare a bunch of Yetis. How about that?
His totem is his big crossbow. There you go.
Sure. We have a new plastic hunter out now, right?
What do you think of that model, by the way?
I like him.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's good.
I think their AOS rolls are pretty good too. Making a piece of terrain like do D6 more to wins to a unit. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, the trapper guys. Yep. Yeah, I think they're fine. I like the new. I think they're another one of the like interesting but not at the level of Grashnak Underworld's warbands, right? Like, or Grashrak, whatever his name is. The one who just became like the gold standard for quality.
I can't remember what his name is.
Because he can give the +1 to hit out, right? That's why that guy's like the gold standard for quality.
So, can I take a left turn?
Yeah, man, sure.
I'm gonna pitch a different one.
I'm ready.
It's Blood Gullet.
Okay.
That focuses on the Fire Eater.
Okay, I like it.
On the fire belly, you mean?
The Fire Belly. And it's a Polynesian themed.
There it is. I knew it. We couldn't get away. We had to get to it. Here it is, folks. That's right. We had to get to the Polynesian theme. Okay.
And so you have a luau themed battalion where the Fire Belly is like barbecuing. So he's your butcher.
Yes.
And so it adds the keyword, the butcher keyword.
It adds the butcher keyword to him.
To the Fire Belly. And man-eaters are what he's running with.
Okay.
Because they're the other white meat, the other pig that the luau is going to cook up.
Sure.
There you go.
And it gives them some ability, right? Like,
Yep. And it's a fairly cheap battalion. Like, it's like an 80-point battalion.
Sure. Okay.
We offset the man-eater cost.
I'm down with that. I like that. I like that, Tom.
And so you can use the pirate, like you use the pirate man eaters.
Yep, sure.
Just saying.
Okay.
Like,
The woman with the rolling pin. Yeah, you can do stuff with this.
I'm just I think there's gas there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Any other thoughts about ogres that we want to share here before we call it a night?
I don't know. I think that since the books come out, I found that there's more variety playing them, which I'm happy with, because it kind of seemed pretty one-sided in the beginning.
Yeah.
They still obviously are doing well because they still keep running out of lead belchers, and Iron Guts keep going out of stock, so they're a little bit hard to get. And they are represented well, and I think they're a good army. Like if you're getting new into the game, you can get them pretty cheap to get the models from start collecting kits. So lower model count. They're good to learn painting too, because there's large surface areas and the musculature, and I mean, there's and all the stuff with fur is great for contrast if you're learning those. So I think there's a lot you can do with the army, but it has so much character, and I guess it's one thing I would encourage people to play if they're gonna do the ogres. Like, it's a fun army, so have fun with it. Feel free to don't let those Ironjaw players be the ones that are shouting stuff.
Yeah.
If you're in an event where you get sports awards based on who's loudest, or what's bombastic, that's a thing.
Sure.
You should be able to compete. It's a fun army. It's destruction army too, and it's nice to see another just like the destruction army, because you don't often. I mean, now with the war clans you do, I guess, but we didn't see destruction very much at all. So I think the time was right. Maybe not against Bone Reapers, because when that box came out, those two armies together, it seems kind of one-sided at times. But yeah, I don't know. I've been very impressed with the ogres, and they're a ton of fun. They really grab my heart and my wallet, and they've been just so much fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I keep buying more of them, and there's always a different hobbying thing, and the Jimmy Buffett Fire Eater. I don't know if I'm going to have him done in time for Adepticon, but I'm working on that. I feel like I could still, with the models I have, still play the other tribes too, and just, I mean, not really, and not until I'm actually done with them as an army. So I don't know. I've been pretty happy with them.
Yeah, I like that. Paul says an ogre battalion, including giants, for the Sons of Bahamut inclusion. Yeah, that's fine. My giants are happy to take some ogres as pawns and servants to go out and die first, because they're weedy little miniature tiny people who are shuffled forward. Revenge, I say, for the original loss of the Sky Titans. Like, we're back, baby.
Mm-hmm.
The giants are back.
So the giants would just be like, oh yeah, ogres, they make the best gumbo.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed. It's the fat content.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's very marbled meat, I'm sure. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So okay, cool. Tom, any final thoughts?
It's still an intriguing army to me. I don't really want to paint them. But I would probably, if I like the models better, I would probably run an ogre army. Like, I think it's the first, let me say it this way. It's the first elite army, like large, like low model count army that's intrigued me.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, I mean, my summary thoughts are, I think it is a book that has held up in the test of time. It's only gone up since its release. In its sort of percentage. It's fairly resilient, but it's straightforward to play. It's fun. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a success. I honestly wish more books felt and were like the Ogre book. Now, I think there are still disappointments in there. There are things that I still wish were redesigned to be better. Like, the Hunter has some janky rules. Iron Guts have weird rules that just shouldn't have been written like that. Like, there's opportunity for improvement, don't get me wrong. But on the whole, I think this book is a big success. And I think it's fun. I think the numbers have borne that out. So there you go. Okay, cool. All right, folks. That brings us to the end of the show. Hey, give this a like if you've liked it. Remember, hitting that little like button costs you nothing, but helps a lot of other people find the show. So go down there, click that little thing. Don't forget about the surveys that are down in the description. They'll be down there once when this goes live, as soon as we go off the air. So click those and take that. I would very much appreciate it. You're helping with a big research project, and the more, if you answer, make your opinions heard. Don't let other people tell you what their opinion is and dominate the survey. Make your opinions heard. You've got to get, otherwise your voice won't be counted. And unlike other types of voting, this is still relatively small enough that your vote really does matter. So, with that, I'll say thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We certainly do appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.